Well, welcome back to the channel, everybody. For those of you who haven't found the channel before, I'm Tim. Actually, Tim Mayberry. My wife's Carol. We run this farm. It's Mayberry Farm. We're in Sebago, Maine. Anyway, during the winter time and off season, I play with tractors and who knows what else. I've got snowmobiles, all kinds of crap. But anyway, so yesterday, you know, we had that bad gooseneck there on the radiator, and you notice this one here is better. And I don't know if you can see daylight through that or not, but get a light back there, you probably can. You know, she's pretty clean. I spent an hour cleaning it. So, and I can't find any places that look like there's any cracks or anything. Just typical, you know, old age syndrome, you know. The brass is a little oxidized, but he said it was a good one. He said he'd replace it and give me my money back if it wasn't. But I got this at the same place I got that front pedestal. So I don't think it came off the same tractor because this was off a Super C. Or no, this one wasn't a Super C. This one was a 200, I believe. Whatever the Super C morphed into. But it's identical. I've had them sitting side by side. So anyway, also yesterday in the mail came this little package here from Steiner. And we've got, that's the part number, 1797. And it comes with, for a Super C, might be for a C also, I don't know, I don't remember. Of course, damn China made stuff, but that's all right, whatever it is. So we've got both bearings. We've got that wear sleeve, which mine are pretty well smoked, and it comes with the felts. I've already got the felts and the seal on there. So I don't know if this kit here is one that just runs felts and not seals, you know, because I got a lip seal on mine, which runs that narrow felt and a lip seal. So I think this is actually meant to replace the lip seal, this big one. You know, because they'd both fit in there. They'd actually be going this way, I guess. And basically what it would be is, yeah, I think that's how it would go. So anyway, yeah, we're going to install here today. And we're going to get the pedestal back on. I'm actually going to do that first because I've decided when I get the weight of both hubs on, it's going to be a hard lift. So I'm just going to put the pedestal up. Of course, it's got the inner seals already on it and it's all clean. We'll get that on and I'll wash up that hub because I did sandblast it. That one had enough paint on it that, you know, it was a 1/16 of an inch thick. So I did sandblast that one in the cabinet. And but anyway, she's looking better all the time. We got a little more paint on it yesterday. I don't like to paint when I'm down here working because of the fumes. Because, you know, I got a respirator, but once you spray, the place stays stinking for, you know, 3-4 hours. So what I do is I dub around down here, and when I get ready to leave, I'll paint like hell, you know, whatever I want to paint, and then I just leave. And then the next day when you come in, it's all good. So I do a lot of that stuff off camera, you know, just as I'm leaving. Just, yeah, she's looking all right. Yeah, I did straighten this out, and I've got a piece of bronze. I'll show you that. Yeah, so this was in my steel pile, and I was just going to make it out of steel. It's just, it looks like rust to me. And, yeah, it had some red paint on it. I really didn't know what it was. I just picked it up because I thought, well, it's the right size, you know, dimensionally. And I started turning on it, and it's some type of a bronze or a brass. I'm not really sure. But it's a wonder I hadn't thrown it in a scrap pile with steel because it doesn't look like brass from the outside of it. But it's a twisted off shaft. It's been twisted off on this end, right through a keyway. And, yeah, it's just scrap. So I'll be making that piece to hold. This here is going to be clamped with a hose clamp. This here is going to be down inside of the neck, and the thermostat will be pushing against this. I got to core this out. And I'm going to do that. Actually, I only have to go in an inch, so I'm going to actually do that with a hole saw, I believe. I don't have any trepping-in tools. So we'll, a tree pan, and however you want to pronounce it. I don't have any of that fancy stuff, so I'll just go ahead with a hole saw. Well, I got the outside turned, and I'll have to keep pulling out to evacuate the chip, but this is how I'm gonna do the inside. So the hole saw I was using could only get in 912 thousandths, and I was aiming for an inch. I'm going to cut this off an inch. I'll go throw it in the chuck the other direction, and I'll have a little less than 100 thousandths to cut off. No big deal. But it's funny, these steel blades, I don't know what people cut brass or bronze with, but they never seem to cut steel of this bronze very fast. But we'll let it go. I don't care if it takes 20-30 minutes. I'll go work on the tractor. So anyway, I'll bring you back when we're finishing that up. Yeah, I just bolted this on off camera. I just wanted to mention, if you are rebuilding a tractor by yourself, make sure that this heads back. You can turn it the other way and your spindle will be out front. This has got caster built into it. Your camber is actually the tip that your wheels have this way. But caster is tipped back. It makes it caster along so that it tries to go straight on the road. If you have it the other way, it'll always try to be flopping on you. So make sure you get that on right if you're unfamiliar with it. Anyway, let's go to the lathe. So anyway, we're back over here from the cutoff saw. I don't have very far to go here. Only about 90 thousandths or so. So it should go right through pretty quick. If I had my little brush, here it is. There we go. Yeah, popped it out just the way I wanted it. So, wonder how hot it got. Not bad. When, yeah, still handle it. Put that back in, clamp gently. And, let's see here. I only wanted it an inch high, but height really doesn't matter on it. Yeah, it's only an inch 90, so I'm not too concerned with it. I think I'm actually just gonna bevel that edge right there with a file. Well, that won't work on the radiator hose or nothing. And the rest of it's all just fluid going through. We'll go clean this dandy up and see how it works. So this was my dilemma. This groove right here is pretty much corroded away from having water running in it. And the thermostat housing will still set on the bottom. So what I elected to do was turn this out. Fluid will still come through all right. This will slide over the brass without any drag. It should be about 20 to 30 thousandths undersize, so that when you bring the radiator hose down, you should be able to bring it down like so, clamp it on the bottom, and I will put a clamp right here to clamp that so that it doesn't, you know, get pushed up, because if it does, stuff won't work. That just wants to drop down there and hold that. We'll put a clamp on there, and that will hold that thermostat. That's been one of my dilemmas as to how to straighten that out. And just one of them pain in the ass deals, but it'll work. Yeah, it's gonna be all right. So the only other thing I'm gonna do, and most people won't agree with this, but A lot of these seal extremely tight. I don't know if this one does or not, but yeah, I don't know. I don't see any light through it anywhere. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to drill right in close to this edge right here, an 1/8 inch hole on either side, and it'll let a little bit of fluid go through. And what that does, when you first start these tractors, everything's just stagnant because there's no radiator, there's no heating system that allows your water to circulate if this is closed right solid. So what it does is, just as the heat builds out from of course this is the hottest part of the engine, eventually it'll open it. But I like to actually let it circulate a little bit, and then it's pushing fluid through all the time, and it gets warmer and warmer and warmer, and when it finally starts to open, you haven't got the back of the head at, 200 degrees when this thing's opening at 160, let's say. So I like to give them a little bit of fluid travel. If this thing had, like on a normal vehicle, wow, if this right here went to your heating system, you'd have fluid coming up and going around and coming back. But these tractors never had that. So I'm going to drill a couple holes. I'll do that off camera. I'll show you what I do in a minute. So those are bigger than 1/8 inch. They're 3/16. And they set just inside of this piece. So they will let some fluid through. Probably could have got by with just one, but don't matter. So I'll tell you the story behind those. Some of you might think I'm crazy. Some of you might have been there. But I had a 120 Franklin. For those of you who don't know what it is, it's a log skidder. 1967. It was an old beast, but it had a 4236 Perkins in it. And the engine went to hell after I'd had it for 5 or 6 years. I rebuilt the engine from one end to the other, all new. Put it back in, it made so much heat that had to have the radiator done. So then I get the radiator done. Now it's running perfect. The only problem is, where the thermostat was, the actual temperature sending unit was on the head. The thermostat housing was up, standing alone up front. And that thing would run up to like 210, 220 in the morning. It'd be cold. So cold you couldn't stand it. And it would sit there and it would just keep creeping, keep creeping. You'd take off and go, and it would go up to like 210, 212, and then it would dump. When that finally got hot enough that the heat traveled up through that thermostat housing, it would all of a sudden come open real fast, and it would dump all that cold water from that radiator right into the motor. And it would cool it right down enough a gauge wouldn't even read. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, that's going to ruin the motor, So I took a thermostat and I drilled 2 holes in it, smooth as silk. She would creep up, you could get onto it in the morning, take off. You knew what your temperature was, and it would go on up to like 190 where it was supposed to run, but there wasn't that wild fluctuation because it always had some fluid passing by it so that it was a true reading on what you had. Anyway, that's the story behind that. That's why I like to do it on stuff that's got a blind end like that where the thermostat is. I just think it's good practice. A lot of people won't agree with that. Some people might say they've never had a problem, but I do it. So anyway, we've got that done. We're ready now. We can put the radiator on. I put the pedestal on. Just getting ready to drive these seals in. Not seals, these races in. And for those of you who never had these apart, they give you 2 slots, one on either side to put your punch in. Just drift them out. Put them back in the right way so the taper goes like so. And otherwise your bearing can't get into it. And I take the old one that I drove out, set on top of it, and just take a small hammer and I'll tap that right in. A lot of people, they'll put plates on it and all this, but I just take a whiz wheel or a torch, whatever I got handy, blow a slot through it so that you can get it back out if it goes down into that recess any, because when you turn them this way, there's nothing to hit on. So it could make it challenging if you get them in and get them stuck. But that's what I do. I'll bring it back. this side over here. Whoop. Yeah, going good. Slippery. Whoop, she's there. I guess this one I wouldn't have had to split because it never goes in deep enough. But anyway, that's how I do it. Same thing on the other end. Somewheres here I got the big one split too. I don't know what I did with it though. This one goes in a little deeper. So anyway, there's the one I split right there. This one, I'm going to actually have to get something to put onto it. Oh, let's see, that side's high. Got to be careful of hitting this top here because we've got seals flanges that go in there. So I will go get a socket that size. I remember I had 2 of those races, so. She's there. Oh yeah. And that's all there is to it. You can see where you drive them out. You know, if you're unfamiliar with these, you just take your punch, go right down through that slot. Just tap from one side to the other and you can work them right out. Now the next piece on this puzzle is this piece here. And this piece here I'm going to put in with a piece of plate steel. Just because there happens to be one right here. I could go do it on the press, but I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. I'd say not. That's it. Yeah, nothing to it. Yeah, I like it. That one's all ready for the bearings. Oh, you know something? Yeah, I got plenty of grease right here. That's a brand new piece of metal there. I want to put a little bit of lube on it. We don't want that seal to go to hell right off quick. There's that. One washer. Oh, that is smooth, just like we like it. Okay, got me an adjustable. We'll tighten, whoop, get it tightened up here, right size. So we'll tighten that right up. That's a little too tight. See what that is. That ain't bad right there. Oh. Then we just got to move it a little bit here to. Yeah, that's the. Come on. Guess I should have drilled out that hole a little bit, but there we go. Yeah. Anyway, I'll clean that and get it to fit proper, but so the reason I like to make sure that I actually have some preload on these is because if they have any 5/10 thousandths play, every time you hit a rock, that bearing is coming loose and then slapping up against the nut, and within, for 5 years, you end up taking your threads out. Now if you keep them nice and snug, and they're not super snug, that's probably got 3 pounds, 2-3 pounds of drag on it. You know, and some of that's the seal. The seal don't have a lot of drag, but yeah. So I'm a firm believer in preload your bearings a little bit. A lot of people do it different. So this is addressing a comment I had, and I told the guy, you know, what it was, but I'll let everybody know in case you don't read the comments. This is a luggage conveyor belt out of an airport. If you know anybody that works at airports, when they change these out, they'll be about 50-60 feet long, and they'll be about 36 inches wide, and they rip real good on the table saw. Wear a mask, but they do rip. Don't know what they're filled with. If it's Kevlar, I don't think it's nylon, because nylon I think would stretch. It's something that doesn't have any stretch to it, because this stuff is solid. You can run 40-50 horsepower through a 6-inch belt, 7-inch belt, and no problem with it. Doesn't seem to tear, rip. So that's what it is, and it cuts good with a utility knife. He wanted to know what I made these radiator mounts out of, and it's 2 pieces with, as you can see, a little bit of high temp silicone in between it. Don't have to be high temp, anything would work. Just to stick them together, and yeah, there they are. I did buy, because originally this is what was on the Super C. Pretty sure that was original. It was a canvas, rubberized canvas, almost like the tire sidewall or something. Not sure if this was original, but I like that better than this. So anyway, that's what I used. That's just an answer in case somebody happens to want to know what it was. Yeah, I got the cotter pin all in that already. I'm ready. I got to take them pieces of gasket off, put a cap on it, and this side will be done. So this wear sleeve on this side falls right in. I mean, there's really no clearance, maybe 3 or 4 thousandths. If you rotate it, it kind of binds up a little. Well, it does. And it acts like it's starting to tighten up about a 1/16 out, but it's no good anyway like that. So anyway, I got some sleeve retainer. This is actually the red stuff, but it's not 271. Don't use that real good stuff. You never get your stuff apart. But this here retains bearings and sleeves, seals joints against high pressure. You can use it for an actual thread sealer. It's pretty versatile stuff. So I'm going to put this grade A color red. It's, what is that? 8831 is the item number. But they got all kinds of different colors, greens and different stuff. So we'll see here if we can't get this. If I can get this thing open. We'll put some on the standing. See what it does. The stuff is very liquid, which doesn't make it handy, but make sure it don't go down on your seal. So anyway, we'll tap it in there and see what it does here in an hour, or even 15 minutes. There we go. Well, there we go. We got both front hubs on. Pretty happy with that. The radiator's ready to go. I got this all straightened out the other day. As you saw, we got that. I'm not going to show putting the radiator in on this video. This video has got to a half hour.